Hey everybody, this is Lloyd Irvin from Camp Springs, Maryland. Like I said, the 2012 season is over. We had phenomenal results. I told you I was going to do a lot of different video projects this year, but I didn't. We kind of went underground and we had a lot of success. Today I want to talk about a few things. I want to introduce you to Keenan Cornelius. If you're in the BJJ world, I'm sure you've heard of him already. He just recently won the Pan American Championships, the European Championships, the Brazilian National Championships, and the Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu World Championships, winning his weight division and the open class in the purple belt division. And as you can see, he has a fresh new shiny brown belt. We just promoted him this week. But there's been a lot of talk, a lot of misinformation, a lot of people saying different things. So let me share with you my position about life and jiu-jitsu and one of the processes that I teach my guys. So I feel that 97% of the population are losers, and 97% of the population are never going to accomplish anything, because the 97%ers are 97%ers, and only the 3% of the population are what I call winners. And it's not about, oh, this person's better than you in life, or this person is less under you. No, I'm talking about winning. I'm talking about success. I'm talking about proven life and success principles that have gone past the eternity of time. It has nothing to do with me, stuff that was alive, well and running before I was alive, before my parents were alive. If you've been following me any period of time, you know I read Think and Grow Rich and the book Outliers, and I have all these books and things, and I'm about following success because my life was much different than it is today, based upon the fact that I follow these certain success principles. So back to the 97%ers and the 3%ers. My job, my whole life over the last decade has been trying to model and follow the 3%ers. My school, especially the Medal Chasers, are based upon success principles of the 3%ers. See, 97%ers are whiners, complainers, moaners, and groaners, and always complaining. This person's sandbagging. This person should be promoted. Like, why are you worried about who's getting promoted? Like, listen, if you go to all the internet forums and you look at all the forums and look at the people that are posting the most and always involved, listen, they're not world champions. They're not winning. They don't have the success that I'm talking about, and that I'm trying to help other people succeed. A lot of people don't know about this, because what I'm about to say right now is the very first time that I've ever said this on camera. Some of my guys know. I don't think Keenan has heard this. He may have heard this when he first came from Hawaii. But what I'm trying to do and what I'm trying to build is build like the Medal Chasers is like a 3%er team. My jungle Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu house is like a 3%er house. And what I'm trying to do is trying to get a bunch of other 3%ers, people that want to reach the highest level, or at least attempt to. See, like I said, I can't guarantee anyone's success, and no one can guarantee your success. But what I can guarantee you is this. If you have a hardcore desire and you want to reach the highest level of your possible ability, and you get around other people that have the same goals and have the same passions, you're going to be in a better situation than you are without this. And this is what I'm trying to create. But back to what I'm saying. I started Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu when I was 26 years old. I found out about it through watching the Ultimate Fighting Championship 1. I didn't have an instructor. My instructor, Leo Dalla, moved back to Brazil 6 months into my training. I got my blue belt when I was 30 days in. 6 months into my training, still being a blue belt, my instructor, Leo Dalla, moved back to Rio de Janeiro, Brazil. I opened my own school with 6 months of training. No YouTubes. There wasn't all these instructional videos out. I did it by myself. And from blue belt to black belt, I was here in Maryland, Prince George's County, teaching myself and training my students. And I've been able to do things that most people would say is impossible. But let me tell you this. I do believe if Dalla had stayed here and I had other teammates and other people that wanted to reach to the levels that I wanted to reach to, train with me each and every day, I feel that I would be able to be at a far greater level than I am today. And because of that, and because I wasn't able to reach all my jiu-jitsu goals and dreams, and the dream of being in a room full of people that can kick your butt, being in a room full of people that have the same desires, I was always a top dog. When I was a blue belt, I was a top dog. When I was a purple belt, I was a top dog. I was a brown belt, I was a top dog. And one day I had a dream. I had a dream that one day I could be a springboard to allow people from anywhere in the world to be able to come together and train in an environment that I would have wanted for myself. And with that being said, I can go into a whole other talk, but today I want to talk about Keenan Cornelius, because Keenan did something that no one else in the entire world has ever done, winning all the 4 major tournaments, winning double gold. He also won the Abu Dhabi Pro Trial, and I wanted to dispel some rumors. There's been lots of stuff talked about out here about Keenan, and I want you to hear it from the horse's mouth himself. So how are you doing today, Keenan?
I'm doing great, Master Lloyd.
Great. So can you let's talk about your history a little bit. Let's put that in the air, because a lot of people have these speculations and rumors and stuff. Did you start training at jiu-jitsu from age 3, and now you're 20 years old, so you've been training for 17 years straight, and this is why you're winning at the purple belt level?
No, I started training jiu-jitsu when I was like nearing 15 years old. I think I was like 14 and a half. It was the summer before I started high school. My dad was a Taekwondo instructor all my life. He's a 6th degree in Taekwondo, so I've been training Taekwondo. I started when I was like 4, but I fell off of it. I wasn't really interested in the martial arts, and I only got reinterested in it again when I was 14. And I started training with some of the wrestlers at my high school. And my dad was a blue belt at the time, but he had got his blue belt. I didn't even really know about it. Didn't really understand jiu-jitsu. And just like everyone, most people you hear about, they get an interest in jiu-jitsu because of UFC. And I watched the UFC a couple times. I thought it was cool. And then BJ Penn was one of my idols back then. And it just had turned out, I didn't really even know this at the time. My dad had never really talked to me about it because I never showed an interest in martial arts. But my dad had actually introduced BJ Penn to jiu-jitsu.
Nice. But
back then, like, my dad didn't know any jiu-jitsu. He knew like a couple neck cranks and how to open close guard by just pulling someone's pants into their groin, And so he quickly saw that BJ Penn was far more talented than he could ever hope to be. And he knew Ralph Gracie because of his martial arts connections from being a Taekwondo instructor, and sent BJ Penn to Ralph Gracie, and that's how BJ Penn got his start in jiu-jitsu. But I only just got interested in it when I was 14 and a half. My dad used to make me come out and train with him at first. I didn't want to train. I didn't want to do any of it. I was small and skinny, and he would just neck crank me, and it was no fun, it was no fun at all. Until one day, like near the end of summer, after training like one day per week or so, I finally ran around to his back and I choked him. And when I had that power, just for that moment, I was like, oh, this is cool. I finally got him back for all those times he just laid on me in side control. And that's when my interest in it really sort of blew up. And I tried to start taking it more seriously, but I was still only training for about once a week for the first 2 years of my jiu-jitsu experience.
Okay. So, like the first 2 years of your jiu-jitsu experience, like be a little more detailed, because people out here want to like twist your words. So make sure you're 100% clear.
So my dad opened a gym in Placerville, partially to accommodate my interest in jiu-jitsu. And he taught me what he knew. He just knew some very basic stuff, like basic close guard opening, arm bar, rear naked choke. That was pretty much it. And then he sort of left it up to me to sort of like just follow my interest in it. And I recruited some guys from the local wrestling team at my high school who I showed to the UFC, and they were kind of interested in it too. One of them actually went on to become he's a pretty successful MMA fighter right now. He's like 9-1, fighting on the California circuit. But we all trained together. We'd train every Tuesday. And that was basically my jiu-jitsu training for the first 2 years, or the first year or so. And then when we started to realize that we needed some actual instruction, I did some research, and I actually went down to Casio Wernick's gym. He was a 2003 middleweight world champion.
How old were you then, so we make sure your timeline, we keep that?
I was, let's see, so about a year, so I was probably 15 and a half when I first went down there. And I was only able to make it down there on Saturdays because I was still in high school, and I had homework to do, chores around my property. I was still a kid, and I'd make it down trying to make it down every Saturday. We probably only made it down like once every 2 weeks to actually go train down there. And I was a white belt at the time, and that's where I actually met Andris Bernovskis, who trains here now, and he's part of the reason I came to Team Lloyd Irvin, because he told me how amazing it was and what a great opportunity it was. So I went down there, and it's actually a funny story. I've gone down there a couple times. I thought I was a real hot-shot white belt. I was beating all the other teens up at the time, and Casio Wernick actually called my dad a couple months after I'd been going there, trying to make it down as regularly as possible, and he said, hey, I have a kid here who's going to give your son a run for his money. And I was like, no way. And by this time I had won the U.S. Open at white belt rooster weight. I thought I was awesome. And I went down there, and it was the first time I ever rolled with Andris. and he armbarred me so quick, and he popped my arm. He didn't stop when I tapped. Like it was brutal. And so from then on, I sort of had this like friendly rivalry with Andres whenever I could make it down there. And he was actually training twice a day at the time. That was when Andres started his like serious jiu-jitsu training, I think. And so I'd make it down there every once in a while, but I just continued training Tuesdays with the wrestlers from my high school.
With just you guys?
Yep, it was just some wrestlers from our high school, and then every once in a while we'd have a guy who's interested in the gym itself, and they'd come in and we'd show him jiu-jitsu. Mm-hmm. There's probably like maybe 4 or 5 of us that were would
so
come
a bunch of white belts together.
Yeah. We didn't. And my dad was a blue belt at the time, but he didn't really run classes. After a while, we just had an open mat thing every night.
Okay.
So then, one of my dad's Taekwondo instructor friends named Dave Kovar ran a jiu-jitsu seminar with Carlos Valente. And I didn't know who he was. I never heard the name before. But we went down there, and I guess my dad had talked to Carlos Valente and told him that I was interested in jiu-jitsu. And Carlos Valente actually gave me my green belt at the tournament, or at the seminar. And by then I was nearing 16, I think.
He gave you green belt the first day he met you?
Yeah, first time he met me. And there were some other people from around the area who had been doing jiu-jitsu. So there was a lot of people there. It was the first time I'd really rolled with people other than at Casio's or in my hometown.
Okay.
So I got my green belt there, and then my dad started talking about the possibility, because he was going on a business trip to Hawaii, and he told me I should come with him and go train at BJ Penn's. So I was super stoked on that. I went out there as a green belt, and I got to roll with BJ Penn and Reagan Penn for like a couple of days that we were out there, and that was really awesome. And I was just starstruck by them because I'd seen BJ fight on the UFC, and this was back at the time he was just choking everyone out. He'd just beat Matt Hughes, I think. Maybe it was a little after that. And I decided that's what I wanted to do, and I just wanted to do jiu-jitsu. It was all I was interested in. I actually dropped out of high school. I took my GED, so I still have my qualifications as far as graduating high school, but I dropped out my junior year just to train jiu-jitsu. And my family had been thinking about moving anyway, so they accommodated me. I owe everything to my family. They always took such good care of me as far as letting me follow my dreams. And we moved back to Hawaii because I had been born there, and that's where my mom had met my stepdad now, Tom Kalos. And so we moved back there, and I was out there for about 2.5 years training. And I just trained every day out there. I enrolled in the University of Hilo, Hawaii out there. I was going to college, and I was just training as consistently as I could. But like, unfortunately, that BJ Penn's gym is more MMA based, so the jiu-jitsu program wasn't everything I thought it would be. But I didn't know that for the first 2 years, and I was looking for more of a competition-based environment. And I was competing all around the Hawaii circuit. I won some Nagas, and there's a popular tournament out there called the Hawaii Triple Crown. And I used to actually get choked out at that tournament all the time by this one guy named Jordan.
That's when you showed me the video?
Yeah. I got flying triangle choked at it a couple times. Like, I was getting beat up. Like, I thought I was real good because I was doing well in the gym, but I would go to these tournaments and I'd get kind of wrecked. And I knew I believed in myself. I knew I had more potential than that. So I started doing more research about like where the best schools were, and I stayed in touch with Andres Pernovskis, and he had moved to Ohio. He had met Master Lloyd and made his way down here, and he was telling me what an awesome facility it was, what great instruction, what great training partners there were here, and that was pretty much all I needed to hear. And I contacted Master Lloyd and just made the switch and just wanted to come over here as quickly as possible.
Okay, so now we're in Maryland. You land in Maryland. You're 18 at this time, correct? And so you're already a purple belt.
Yep.
Who gave you a purple belt? Who gave you a blue belt?
So the blue belt's a weird story because I was in Hawaii. I just got there. I was a green belt, and BJ Penn was off doing his I think it was when Ruka opened up their gym in California, so he was training out there. So there was no black belts really instructing, and so I was this green belt, and I was kind of arrogant. I thought I was better than a green belt, so I stopped wearing my green belt, and my roommate at the time, I had moved out of my parents' house, and I was 17. I moved out of my parents' house to go live with this guy who was a brown belt at the gym, and he went to the same college as I did, and so we knew each other from jiu-jitsu. And his brother was a black belt. His name was Aaron Moeller. And I went across to Kona, which is on the other side of the island, and I met his brother, and I was talking to his brother. He asked me what belt I was, and he just said, "Oh, you're not a green belt anymore. You're now a blue belt." And he sort of just gave me my blue belt there at his house. He had mats on the floor, and so this was right when I got to BJ Penn's, and
This is the first time you met the guy?
yeah, first time I met him, he gave me my blue belt. Maybe I'm not exactly sure what exact date it was.
This stuff's new to me. I never heard of this such stuff.
Yeah, so that I'm not exactly sure. It may have been a couple months in. I'm not really sure. The time, I just did the same thing every day out there. The time sort of blurs together.
Right.
You know how those things are. So
Sure.
I'm not exactly sure what timeline I got my blue belt, but it was within the first year that I was there. It was the safe thing to say. And from there, I still thought I was better than a blue belt. I was always just thinking I was the best guy around, and I competed. I would sign up under purple belt divisions and I'd get choked all the time. I always had a real hard time with triangle chokes. Everyone would triangle choke me, and then it was about a month before 2010 Worlds that I got my purple belt from BJ Penn. I got second in the Naga, like this big Naga. It was about the biggest Naga in Hawaii. I got second in it, and that's what BJ Penn gave me my purple belt.
Okay.
And that was in I didn't even do a purple belt division. I just did the men's advanced nogi, and he gave me my purple belt for that. So it was about a month before 2010 Worlds. I registered for 2010 Worlds. I competed. I won my first two matches, and I lost to Jordan Schultz, who is also here on the team now. After that, let's see. So that after 2000, yeah. So then I came here pretty soon after that. After that, that's when I contacted you. I believe it was like within those months.
Okay, so now we've taken you from your experience 2.5 years. You're a purple belt. You land in Maryland at 18 years old, purple belt, right?
Mm-hmm.
So when you land here in Maryland.
Oh, one more thing people are going to question about is the Gracie Baja thing.
Okay.
There's video on the internet of me wearing a Gracie Baja gi. That was when I went to right before. Like the week before Worlds, I was out in California, and I was staying with my aunt and uncle. And I competed at Worlds, and then I was looking for a place to train while I was out there because I was visiting. And Gracie Baja was the only place around there that I thought I wanted to train at. And they don't let you wear any other gis. So I had to buy Gracie Baja gis, and they were the only gis I had at the time. So I competed not under the Gracie Baja name, but I just was wearing their gi because it was the only gi I had, and I didn't really think anything of it. I really had no concept of the whole team thing at the time. Like, if I had known that people were going to bring that up, I probably would have just worn a different gi, but I didn't even think about it. But I was never officially on their team. I was just training at their place while I was visiting my aunt and uncle.
Okay, that's a good one.
Mm-hmm.
I've got that question before. All right, so you land in Maryland, 18 years old, and you start competing, and you start destroying everyone, and we hold you back. Is that the case?
No, absolutely not.
Okay, what happens when you land here? Tell them when you land here, we all come back from Europe, and tell them what happened.
All right, so I landed here. I got here like a day before everyone came back from Europe. I trained the first night I got here. Anders beat the crap out of me again, just like always. He triangle choked me, armbarred me a bunch of times. I did wrestling class with Mike Easton, actually. I was like, after jiu-jitsu class, I was just real hyped. I was like, okay, I'm going to go do the wrestling class. I did wrestling class with Mike Easton. The next day, everyone came back. Everyone wrecked me so bad. I didn't know what I was doing. I felt like everything I'd ever learned was, useless. Essentially, DJ was just passing my guard, Kimura, and me. I've never trained in an environment that was, like, had such good training partners before, right? I'd never been pushed to that level. In competition, if you come across someone who can push you to that level, they usually just tap you out quickly before you can experience like the actual physical distress of like being fatigued, right? Well, here you're just in it. DJ was crushing me. JT choking me out left and right, tapping me with stupid stuff like where you just grab my arm, just bend it and tap me out. Jimmy wrist locking me. I didn't even know what a wrist lock was. Like I hurt my wrist a couple times because I didn't know what it was, so I didn't tap right away. I didn't have the instinct to tap to it. Just getting wrecked, I just realized I sort of had to relearn everything. And that's when Master Lloyd started instructing me, giving me stuff to work on, some good spider guard stuff. That I started to develop a concept of like gripping and what that was. I never really, I sort of rolled.
Let me jump in because I remember the first day I came back. We came back from Europe, Portugal, and right second or third day it was grind. I saw your body. Your body was you had scab, your skin was torn off your feet, and I called you over when you're jogging. I said, "Man, are you all right?" You're like, "Yes, sir, I'm all right." I said, "Listen, hang in there." You're like, "I'm not going anywhere." But no matter how tired you are, I remember when you looked me in the eye, you said, "I'm not going anywhere." You were serious. You were just in it. So I remember that. Keep on.
Yeah, and the skin thing, that was a really intense thing for me too, because my body, like my skin started hurting. I didn't know why. I was like, why does my skin hurt? Do I have an infection or something? It was just from wearing the gi so much. I've only ever trained like twice a day, probably like rolled for like half hour each class maybe. But after rolling for like a couple hours a day, essentially, like my skin was like actually like getting rubbed off on my gi, and I was like, my gi was just wearing away all the soft skin on my body, and eventually I developed like, then your skin always gets used to it. I have calluses all on my knuckles now from gripping the gi, but it was brutal. Just tons of mat burn, and every day it just hurt to put on my gi. I was so sore. Just put it on. It was cold. I got here. It was like a blizzard had just hit. I just come from Hawaii. I didn't really have any warm clothes even. I just had this big jacket. It was pretty brutal first month or so. And what were you saying before that?
So now we land. Yep. Our first month in. We're going through the grinding, and now let's paint the picture from that point up until the Worlds, because what's happening out here is, you're supposedly one of the biggest sandbaggers known to man in the purple belt division, and I want to paint a clear step-by-step picture so people can see you landing, what happened going into the 2011 Worlds. Then we'll stop there, and then we'll.
Okay. So my first competition under Team Lloyd Irvin, I competed at the Abu Dhabi Pro Trials in New Jersey as a purple belt. I remember because you said you didn't want me doing strength and conditioning one day because you don't want me too sore for my first tournament.
Right.
And so I went, did the tournament, lost my second match, like 8-0 or something.
You lost to?
I lost to Chris Vicentian at the time. And then after that, I competed at some other tournaments, like Nagas and stuff, and did well. Then I took first in a couple of those. But usually I just no-gi stuff mostly, because I trained primarily no-gi in Hawaii, because that was the thing over there. They're all MMA, of course, like I said earlier. Then I competed at the Pan Ams, lost my second round match, 2-0. I didn't have a game plan, really. I didn't know what I was doing. Like, of course, I knew I was supposed to pull guard, but I didn't.
You didn't.
Yeah, I didn't pull guard. I don't know why. Master had been telling me that's what I'm supposed to do. I did.
That's his game. Like I'm not a pro guard puller. We're pro whatever it takes to win. As far as if you're a stand-up guy, go for your throws. If you're a guard puller, go for your guard pulling. But within him, like I said, right at that point, we hadn't had any time to really develop any grip fighting. We didn't have any time to develop any throws. So we were working on strategies for getting the grips and pulling effectively without having the two being stolen from us. So keep on going.
Yep. So I lost that. I pulled guard. I didn't pull guard. The guy pulled guard on me. Immediately swept me because I had 0 top game. I just like back then whenever I was on top, I'd just curl up into a ball just because I didn't want to get triangled, because I've been triangled so much competing in Hawaii. So he swept me super easy. Couldn't sweep him back. Then let's see, Worlds came up, 2011 Worlds. Won my first match and lost my second match again. And
that closed out your 2011
that was
season.
2011. I didn't compete on I didn't compete on any other IBJJF tournaments but those two.
So it doesn't sound like you're a purple belt phenom yet.
No, I was definitely not a purple belt phenom.
And then after the Worlds, you went on vacation, came back, and do you remember a phone call that I gave? I don't know if I can't remember if it was a phone call or if it was texting. When I told you that you're the best purple belt in the world, you just got to what?
Prove it to the world.
Yeah, prove it to the world.
Yeah, my mantra was, I'm the best purple belt in the world. I just have to go out and prove it.
Yeah.
And that was when I started to actually try and really incorporate all the mindset stuff that I kept hearing about. Master Lloyd told me about it, about being confident in yourself, believing in yourself, telling yourself what you want to achieve, visualizing, and I sort of thought it was all bull crap. It just didn't really. It was I was sort of had a wall set up.
It's spooky stuff though.
Yeah, it's very weird. But I didn't. I was at this point I was just so desperate. I was like, okay, I just got to try it. It just put away all my preconceived notions about all that. I didn't really think it was for real. Started incorporating that, saying my different mantras that Master Lloyd gave me. And immediately started to see more improvement in my game, and I also took a more serious approach to listening to Master Lloyd. I listened to him, he showed me the techniques, but I wouldn't use them in 2011 year. I still just kept on doing my own thing, and that was my biggest mistake 2011, is just not listening to Master Lloyd like I should have. Even though he told me what to do, I just kind of ignored it. And then the end of 2000. From Worlds to the end of 2011 is when I started really building my game up more, incorporating the spider guard that Master Lloyd showed me, starting to drill sweeps more. I didn't really take drilling that seriously. I hated drilling. I hated it. Never like I'd go in there. I just try and go to like just zone out completely. Anders never would drill with me because I was the worst drilling partner. Just wasn't interested. Always just like trying to talk, just make the time go by faster. But after Worlds, I was recommitted to the goal, willing to do anything just to be successful. So I finally took like a more active approach in all the little things that add up, the drilling, the visualization, all the mindset stuff, fully immersing yourself in jiu-jitsu. That's all I did all day, just jiu-jitsu. And then towards the end of the 2011 season, I started to see my game develop and progress a little more. I started...
Let me jump in and give a little quick commercial. If you are not opposed to the spooky stuff, make sure you check out www.mygrapplingcreed.com. That's mygrapplingcreed.com. It has a lot of spooky stuff, and I wrote that a long time ago, and most people in the grappling world still aren't to that level where they're ready for that yet. But if you're open, go check out mygrapplingcreed.com. Continue, please.
I can vouch for that, too, because I'm ultra skeptical in everything. Whenever someone tells me something that I don't see the facts for right in front of me, I always is like, nope, don't believe it. And usually I'll just forget about it and just not believe it, don't do the research. But this was one of the rare occasions where I was just so desperate I was willing to try anything. And that actually is probably 90% of my success comes to the grappling creed. So from there, 2011, I competed at Nogi Worlds. I was finally starting to understand the game a little better, trying to understand the point system at IBJJF. Didn't tap anyone. I tapped one guy, and it was because he had a cramp in his leg, he said. So to this day, I don't know if I tapped him or he tapped from a cramp. I got one submission in my division, stalled out everyone else, scored a couple advantages points, stalled out everyone else on points, put people in 50-50, played a real lame game. But at the time, that's what I did to win at that time. That's what I had to do. I wasn't confident in my passing enough to do anything. I just didn't want to get submitted. I didn't want to lose again, So I was just playing super safe. And then I entered the Absolute division and got choked out for like 30 seconds. First match of the Absolute at Nogi Worlds, purple belt. And then I did the Grappler's Quest in November. And after Nogi Worlds, I realized that I need to start being more aggressive, really start forcing my game on others instead of playing their game and just trying to edge things out. So that was when I really started what's the word? Joe Rogan always says it. Talk something about will. I don't know. Point is, I forced my will on other people and it made them play my game. And that's when I started seeing a lot more success as well. And so Grappler's Quest won all my divisions of Grappler's Quest. Tapped everyone except Rustam Chisev, who I beat at Grappler's Quest. I beat him by like 6 points. But I tapped everyone else. I had like probably 15 matches that day in the 4 or 5 divisions I did. Won the Grappler's Quest. The first big victory I had. It was at the time it was my most valued victory because I knew who Rustam Chisev was, and it felt really good to beat him. I was like, well, okay, wow, I really can do something with this. I really started to believe in myself even more. I beat this big name. Then that confidence just led me right into Europeans, and that was the beginning of the 2012 season.
We shot a video. I did after the Grappler because I shot the video and introduced everyone to you. Just because I knew I wanted them to see you and tell them, what I thought and what was going to happen. I wanted them to actually follow you and the guys and their DJ and JT and everybody, but we didn't do that. But like I said, the results, still came about.
And then, so at Europeans in Lisbon, Portugal, I still was. I did my 97%er part of me at the time was telling myself that the Grappler's Quest was kind of a fluke. I was really nervous in Lisbon, but actually on the way to the venue, I had sort of a revelation that I was not going to lose this tournament because I was going to push so hard that if I were to lose, that person would have lost already also because they'd be so tired from beating me that they wouldn't even be able to continue in their next match. I was just going to put everything on the line. That was the first tournament I ever came up from a double guard pull. I was just trying to pass everyone, just being as ferocious as I possibly could. I had 10 matches between my weight and the Absolute. Only tapped like three or four people, I think. I won a lot, but I won by big margins of points. So I was actually engaging, taking people's backs. I had like 4 or 5 guys in deep bow and arrow chokes. I actually told you.
One guy, yeah.
I had one guy in such a deep bow and arrow choke, but like my grips were just like popping off. Couldn't finish it. And then after I won that was just another big boost to my confidence. And it really has just become, it was a progression coming up. Like barely won Nogi Worlds, lost in the absolute, then Europeans. I won everything, but it was like not like only a couple submissions, and it wasn't what I was looking for. Of course, I'm always looking for all submissions. Then I went into right after Europeans was the Canadian Abu Dhabi trials. I submitted everyone there. Then went into it was Pan Ams after that, or Pan Ams. Then actual Abu Dhabi Pro. So at Pan Ams, I just riding that same wave, just following the right mindset, training hard, drilling super hard, listening to Master Lloyd, following the game plan to a T. Submitted 7 people at Pan Am, 7 out of 10 people in my weight in absolute. That's where I fought Joao Miao. I got 2 quick 50-50 arm bars. I'm super proud of that accomplishment there. I tapped two different guys with a 50-50 arm bar in like 20 and 30 seconds, I think. So I was just on, like I was on fire for that tournament, and I remember the feeling, and I can always bring that feeling back before I compete again now, and that's a big thing, a big part of it too. Everyone's got their own little thing they do in their head. I always bring that feeling back. It gets me right in that same mode. So at Brasileiros, in Rio, in Brazil, it's got that same feeling. We're competing in this dank, like wet, it was like moldy, trash everywhere in this arena. I was just in there, and the Miao brothers were right there next to me, warming up next to me. I was just eyeing them down, and those guys are tough, man. And I submitted 8 out of 10 guys. So I submitted everyone in my division, and then except the finals guy, beat him by 4 points, and then everyone in absolute except the finals against Joao Miao again. And so 8 out of 10 was my best for submissions. So I was very proud of that. Still, of course, trying to see what I did wrong in the finals matches, and then I went to Abu Dhabi Pro, won my division, fought in absolute, and lost to one of the Abu Dhabi Emirates purple belts. So I didn't pull guard, so screwed up again.
You said you were trying to play sweeps or something?
Yeah, I tried to do a foot sweep. In practice, I had been doing like a foot sweep thing, like timing the takedown. My thought was I was going to go for the foot sweep, and he was going to step back, and then I was going to pull. Because I pulled successfully on him earlier in the match, but as I did it, he did the foot sweep, and I sort of like jumped over and like fell back, kind of stumbled, but they didn't give him the points. We went out of bounds, stood up again, so this time I didn't want him to go for the foot sweep as I pulled, so my thought was I was going to go for the foot sweep on him, make him step back, and then pull when he was distracted with the foot sweep. But instead I went for the foot sweep. He did the counter Sasai thing,
nice.
Took me down. I like flew across the mat, down by 2 points, and couldn't get a sweep back, and lost that match, took 3rd. And then what was after that? So it was actually Abu Dhabi Pro, then Brasileiros. Okay. Abu Dhabi Pro was after Pan Ams, and then it was Brasileiros. I fought Paulo Miao in the absolute there too, beat him by 1 advantage in like the match before the quarterfinals, I think. And then the Worlds came around, and I won 6 of the 8 gold medals I was looking for, and the pressure was on, and just did the same thing I'd been doing all year. You know, I didn't change anything. Just went out there and just fought as hard as I could, and just followed the game plan. Just stuck to my techniques, and I think I submitted same 8 out of 10 guys. 8 out of 10 guys. Both finals matches I didn't submit the guy in my weight and in the absolute. And I fought Paulo Miao again in the absolute. So
now we conclude 2012 with 8 gold medals in the 4 major tournaments. The only person that ever done that. And you said on your Facebook, just for the video purposes, who has been your best rivalry and best competitor that you love and you've been thinking about and you have during as a purple belt?
That's the Miao brothers for sure. I fought them 4 times now, and they're definitely the toughest. And I think it's because they train so hard. Like a lot of the people from their academy write me, and they always tell me about how they train so hard. And I always ask, because of course I want to know about the top 2 competitors in the absolute division. And they always tell me how hard they train. That they live at the academy. They're there every day. They're training, 4 or 5 hours a day, so I just made sure I trained 6 hours a day. Just making sure I train harder than them. But those guys are so tough, man. Their guards are so dangerous, and I had to follow like a very specific game plan to beat those guys on all 4 occasions I fought them, except the one time that I 50-50 armbarred Joao, which was just quick. He didn't expect it. No one really.
They were on to it after that, right?
Yep. Then they would never let me put him in 50-50 guard again. The Brasileiros, that's all I was looking for. I just wanted to armbar him again from 50-50. They're hiding it so well, and was never even able to set it up.
If you don't know who they are, you should Google them. How you spell the name?
Miyaao. Meow. So Meow Brothers, Paulo, Joao.
They have highlight videos out there. The guys are crazy. They're sick.
Super flexible, really strong for their size. They're tall for their weight class. They fight like 141, I think, with the Guion. Real tall for their weight class, but they're strong. Super strong grips. I rolled with them in Abu Dhabi because there's open mat at the Abu Dhabi Pro at the hotel we stay at. I rolled it with them before I actually fought them in the competition itself, and I wasn't going to play my game against them. I just played top, just trying to get a feel for their guard. I was never able to pass their guard, which led me to all the double guard pull matches that I beat them with. Just because their guards are so good, I wasn't going to risk my Grand Slam on trying to pass their guards.
Nice. So I think we've painted a clear picture that you were not a phenom when you came. You're not a phenom before you start having this phenomenal run. And the run that he has, I call it the grappling phenomenon. There's when the stars and the moon align, back to the spooky stuff, when all these stars and the moons align, something can happen. And we here at Team Lloyd Irvin, we have a specific process that these gentlemen and ladies are getting involved in, and at a point it just clicks. Last year, same story for Jimmy Harbison. If you have seen the video about Jimmy Harbison, came same situation, didn't do anything at brown belt. Then next year he grand slammed at brown belt, winning the same thing: World Championships, Pan American Championships, European Championships, and Brazilian Nationals. And kid after kid, like I said, if you've been watching me for the last decade plus, you've seen the different guys come by, and you see the guys keep on getting better and better and better and better because the system is keep on changing. The system never stays the same. I'm always trying to improve the system, and like I said, going into 2013, we have even more results. Like I say, Keenan is a brand new brown belt. I expect him to go into the brown belt and have the same type of success. I'm not saying he's going to double Grand Slam right now, but he could. Like I said, he's at a good level, and right now we have from now until 2013 comes, and then the whole season. And like I said, now he's fully on board with the drilling, fully on board with the systems, and so it's just going to keep snowballing bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. And the guys that, and if he goes and does what I expect him to do in the brown belt, people are going to say, oh, he's sandbag, he should have been in the brown belt. Listen, the fact of the matter is he was not winning in 2010. He started winning in 2011. Started winning in 2012. Had his big year, and now he's a brown belt. Do you have anything to say to the people out there, fans, friends, family?
Just my family. Like, I wouldn't be here without them. They've made huge sacrifices just to make sure that I get to follow my dream. And my dad, Tom Callos, my mom, Kathleen, my sisters, they're always there for me. They were there for my finals match with Absolute. They're all right there, right next to the match right as it ended. They're super supportive, and part of being successful in anything is having a good support system, having people behind you who believe in you, and having my family there, and then having my second family of Team Lloyd Irvin there too. It just gives me double the power, double the support.
It was crazy. His father, Tom Callis, sent me an email after me and Keenan had gone back and forth, and after he flaked on me at one point, and then he disappeared, and I didn't reply. And then I let him go, and next thing you know, he popped back up and made the decision that all 3%, like he made what I thought was a 97% decision, but he came back and made the 3% decision. Remember when you said you were going to decide to stay?
Because I talked to my mom, and my mom said she like, please just finish college.
Right.
If you get injured or something, you got to have something to fall back on. And I realized after I wrote you, I was like, oh, I got to finish college first. I didn't want to do that, and then I realized if I get injured,
did I tell you no, you shouldn't finish college?
No, you said I should. You said no, definitely you should finish college. That's the right choice. He was very supportive of me finishing college. I was like, oh, so I guess that is the right thing to do. But then I realized I just wanted to do jiu-jitsu. That's it.
And the choice has to come from the person within,
Yeah.
But Yeah, so Tom Cowell sent me an email after I had decided to give Keenan a chance, and sent me a nice long email, and I'd already known who he was, because when I first opened my school 15, 16 years ago, I used to get I think it was NAPMA or whoever had the business guys had the martial arts school stuff. Tom Cowles was the guy on the DVD teaching you how to do kids programs and stuff like that, so I already knew who he was. But he sent me this long email that, was really, really sincere. Basically, talking about his adventure and his life and his martial arts career, and how he found, I don't want to mispronounce the name, Master Ernie Reyes.
Yeah.
When he was a kid, went on his voyage, and now how proud he is as a father to now see his son go out and to experience and go on his voyage. And from martial artist to martial artist, and from instructor, from father to father, he sent me a message saying, tell me his story about Master Reyes, and how he hopes that I, am that for Keenan and Keenan's voyage, and it's much deeper. You had to read it, but I'm not sharing. It's private, but it was something good something I framed and I kept, for myself, and so when the kid came here, he still has to do it. So it's been an honor and pleasure working with you to this point so far. I believe that bigger and better things are going to happen, because purple belt is purple belt, and you do have the goal of becoming a black belt world champion. I'm telling you right now, we are going to get a black belt world champion. We have JT Torres, we have Keenan, we have a bunch of guys coming up. And like I said, people try to criticize us, and those are the 97%. People try to criticize us that we haven't created a black belt world champion. Unless you create a black belt world champion, it doesn't matter. Well, the fact of the matter is, your job is to get on that ladder and climb and progress. You got people out here that say that it doesn't matter if you win at the Worlds at purple belt. It don't matter if you win at the Worlds at blue belt. It don't matter if you win at the Worlds at brown belt. It does. It does, because within your school, you have to create that environment. And if you don't have an environment that's able to create that, you're not going to ever get an environment to create a black belt world champ. I can guarantee you this, and I can promise you this. And if you ever have a student that does have the ability, he's going to leave you. No ifs, ands, or buts, because you're not going to have the environment here. Our job is to build that environment through the blues, through the purples, through the browns, so you can keep on progressing through the blacks. What do you think about that?
Absolutely. It's got to be. It's the only way to have people there pushing you, exposing your faults. Every day, even JT gets it from us, because we'll do the shark bait drill. We're all just hitting him. He's tired. We're all exposing his weaknesses and flaws, so he can work on those. You got to have that environment, and then everyone pushing towards the same goal. We all live together. We all train together. We all eat together, and everyone has this exact same mindset. It's a really powerful thing.
And the reality is this: there's only been 2 black belt world champions, BJ Penn and Lovato. And Lovato switched over to Salo Ribeiro when he did his. BJ Penn went with, how do you pronounce the name? Andre Pedernera's team?
No, now.
Yeah, went there. And every team that has created black belt world champion, they haven't created an American black belt champion. So until those teams created black belt world champion, they haven't done it either in America. From an American, and I'm going to be the first. I'm telling you right now, we're going to do it. And all the haters keep hating, all the supporters keep supporting, because we're going to keep doing what we're doing. We're going to keep building a team and snowballing it, working with 3%ers. And like I said, he's one of the next generation that's coming after that black belt world title. Anything else in closing? Because this is the big one.
To people who are hating on stuff, just don't be negative. Right. There's no point. It doesn't benefit anyone. It doesn't benefit you. It doesn't benefit us. Just appreciate success when you see it, and try and learn from it, and try and build your own success and your own goals in your own life. And don't. There's no need for any of that.
Yeah. So with that being said, from Camp Springs, Maryland, peace.